Hello, in this video, I'm going to explain the impulse momentum theorem, and at the end, I'll give an example of a real life situation. So first, to understand the momentum impulse theorem or the impulse momentum theorem, we have to understand what momentum and impulse are. So momentum is the quantity of motion of an object. So we find that by calculating mass times velocity. So the mass of the object times how fast it's traveling. The impulse is the change of momentum of an object. So if we want to change the momentum of an object, given that we find it by calculating mass times velocity, we can only change momentum by changing mass or velocity. Now, in most situations, we aren't changing the mass. Like as a car drives down the street, we can change its velocity pretty easily, but we're not going to change the mass of the car driving down the street or the mass of the body that is moving. So more often when we change momentum, we are changing velocity. So impulse is the change of momentum of an object, and we find it by multiplying all of the applied forces, so all of the forces that are acting on the object or the system. So that would include like muscle force, gravity, friction, all sorts of forces. So when we add up all of the forces acting on the system, that is the sum of applied forces. And then we multiply that by how long the different forces are applied. And that is the impulse or the change in momentum. So the reason this is important, the reason we care about this is because impulse is a way of expressing or understanding how the length of time that the force is applied matters. So it's not just how much force is applied to the object or to the system, it's how long is that force applied for, because that also makes a difference. So a greater change in momentum will result from application of a larger force or from longer application of a force, a longer lasting time interval of application of the same force. So it's an expression of the length of time that the applied forces must act on a moving system to cause acceleration. Acceleration simply means a change in velocity. So it's how long does a force need to act on the system to change velocity. A small net force applied over a long time can produce the same acceleration or change in velocity as a large net force applied over a short time. So I'm going to give you an example here. So boxing gloves are a really great example to illustrate impulse. So if someone throws a fit or throws a punch barefisted, not wearing any boxing gloves, they're throwing a certain amount of force into that punch, and it's being applied to the target, whatever the target may be, over a very short period of time. So it's nearly instantaneous, however long it takes for that fist to make contact with the target. When we add boxing gloves, now it slows down the application of that force because now, as the fist is, or the glove, I should say, is moving towards the target and it makes contact, now there's space between the fist and the contact because of the foam of the glove. So it takes a little longer to compress that foam before the fist makes a complete stop. So basically, if we're assuming that the person is moving with the same velocity and applying the same force in both punches, the application of that force takes longer. It's over a longer period of time when wearing boxing gloves. And so because it goes over a longer period of time, the same amount of force, it's going to be a lot less damaging to the fist and to the target compared to barefisted, where all of that force is applied over a much shorter time interval. It's much more instantaneous. And so that same amount of force in a short period of time is much more damaging to the fist and the target compared to a boxing glove that slows down that impact and makes it last over a longer space of time. So with the boxing gloves, there isn't more or less force applied. The difference is simply how long of a time interval is that same force being delivered to the target. All right, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you have a great day.